So we're going to add the final page now to the site, which is the Contact Us page. So let's go ahead and create a new page. And then we can start off by adding our page title. Contact Us. And the icon, let's change that to a recognizable contact kind of icon, which in this particular case we will use an email symbol. So let's grab an email symbol. Again, shout if you can see it. I should have these all predefined really, but it's much more realistic if I'm looking the same as you. Okay, here we go. Here's one. There, we have the Contact Us icon there. Let's drag our graphic for this page. Graphic assets, there we go. That's this one. And then we want to add some text. So I'm going to add a content panel here. And let's delete the, let's delete the content we don't want and Contact Us. In fact, I'm going to, rather than typing away, I'm going to grab the text from here. There we go. Okay, remember we're just wireframing here, so it's not too crucial. Right, let's put that, that's good. Next we want a form in place. Now in base we have some forms ready to go, so we'll go to our forms section here. Do we want a panel form? No, we just want a form here with, let's go with a square checked box, drag it in place, move it into just there, using the smart guides to center it up. There we go. And we have our, everything's in place for us. We have our buttoned colors, everything is picking up on the color scheme, so we don't need to really modify anything. Now, of course, you would want to add specific fields to this form to do with your client, but because this is a demo, we can stick with the form fields that we've got. The only one that you might be unfamiliar with is this one here, which is the checkbox. So the checkbox is a standard form input within Muse. We've just modified our one with this neat little trick. Let's just preview that and I can show you it. So if we look at this form, we have this square text box, and when we tick it, it picks up on the color. And if you took that apart, you would see that we have this. You can't see it very well there at all, but it's basically a glyph icon. Not a glyph icon, an SVG sprite. I don't know where I got glyph icon from. SVG sprite. And what we have is 4 different states that manage the way that this works. So if you can imagine, this checkbox here has got no color at the background at the moment. It's got no color there, and it has a white square with a hole in it. And because there's no background color, nothing shows through. Then when we go to the checked state, it's still a white square with a hole in it, but it has a tick in it as well, and with the space around it. So you could use a transparent PNG or an SVG. But now we have a pink, the accent fill color. So when it's unchecked, nothing shows through. When it is checked, we're showing through the color through that SVG, and then that allows us to change the color of the checkbox without having to create a whole new graphic. So we can reuse this, and whatever color scheme we've chosen, this checkbox will always pick up on that color scheme. So just a neat little trick to make your checkbox look bigger. And the reason why this is bigger, we've made it quite a bit bigger, is because you've got to think that on mobile devices we're using our fingers or a stylus you know, the smallest thing you'll probably use is a stylus, but most of the time it's going to be your finger. So you don't want a tiny checkbox. You want as big a checkbox as is sensible, and that's why we've made this checkbox bigger, so it's easier to click or touch with your finger. Let's just check out our progress options as well. Now, a lot of the time when people use Muse forms, they forget that there's actually 4 states to do with the submission process. So you have the normal state, you have the submitting form state, and then if there's an error. Okay, so don't forget to modify and style these up as well, and you can get to them. Sometimes they're a little bit awkward to get to, but if you click on the submit button and then go to the submit in progress, then that panel will that element will show up. If you click onto it, then you get the 4 options there, so you want to modify those. Now, we've already predefined those, and you'll find sometimes with forms you might drag a form on, and you've got the form on the page. If you're not using base, you're just using your own forms, and you preview it, and for some reason there's a big white space at the side, and you can't understand where that space is coming from, because you might do something like you zoom out of the page, you select everything on the page to see if there's anything off the side, and it all looks as if it's on the side there. Now, I can't quite understand, but there's something going on with the form. It's more than likely that the bit of the form that's hanging off the side of the page, which will make your content sit outside of the 380 pixel width and make your mobile site look wrong, is because of the submit form process. These processing information blocks may be too big and off the side of the page. Okay, so that maybe take a look at that if you've got an error, and I wouldn't be surprised if that was what the issue was. So we've got that, our contact form on the page. The other thing that you want to do is ensure that your email to is filled out correctly. Now, when we've created form widgets before, I usually put a dummy email address in there, and I very often get forms submitted to my dummy email address from other people because they haven't changed the email to form. So you need to make sure that you change that to the client's email address. And you can put in more than one address. If you see the text, the information on this pop-up there, it says you can enter in an email address to receive the form submissions. Multiple email addresses should be separated with a semicolon. So you could have 4 or 5 email addresses that single form is being submitted to. But don't forget to do that. Okay, lastly on this page, so this has been a pretty quick page to put together. We can put the address, we can put lots of other content, but in this particular instance we're just going to grab our call to action, pop it on the page, eyeball it spacing wise. Yep, that's fine, and don't forget to change the text color on this. There we go. And let's preview it. And there we go, we have our contact form, that's all working great. We have our call to action, and this page is now complete. Okay, so what are we going to do to finish this site off? Well, we built our navigation initially. We put the navigation on the page, but we haven't connected it up. So let's go back to our master page and open up our navigation. Oh, I think we've locked it down. So go to our layers and click open up our navigation. There we go. And we have our different sections here for our navigation. Just going to move that up here while we're working on it. And our first button, remember this is just normal Muse menu, but we've set it to manual rather than to auto-generate based on the page names because we want to use our custom content. So this first page here, we want this to go to the home page. The second page, we want to go to coverage, then about us, then prices, and finally contact. Now move that down into place, close it up, And the last thing we're going to do is move our content. Oop, doing this all wrong, aren't I? Move it into place. So with a state button, if you're changing the height, the content needs to sit at the top. So there we go. So all in place. Let's just move that down a tad. And I'm just going to zoom in here to make sure that my content is all correct. We'll move that down and move our, there we go. Let's close these panels down a minute, getting in my way. Trying to design here, not have panels get in my way. There we go, I'm happy with that. So this is another thing that's worth doing, is to just zoom in, especially on mobile designs, just zoom in and take a look and see if there's any white space, if there's any misalignment with the content, to make sure that it all looks great. So let's zoom back out. That's all good. And now let's go and preview the site. So let's preview this. So we have our loader with our nice splash screen that opens up great. And then we'll open up our menu. Let's go to the coverage page. Okay, that's looking great. Let's go to our About Us page. Wonderful, that's all good. And finally our pricing page. Nice, and we can open, yep, everything's working there. And finally our Contact Us page. All good. So we've now completed this mobile site, and just to recap, move on to the next video to just go through, we'll just cover all of the different parts that we actually completed in this video.